So in today's video, let us understand how do we define or frame classes and objects in Python, and how can you really assign them with the help of an example. Okay, I renamed this a new Jupyter notebook, and now what I'll do is I don't have to import any module as of now. Just understand how do you create class. Simple, with a keyword called class. Every keyword in Python here in Jupyter notebook would be highlighted with green color. Okay, class space whatever is your class name. Suppose I give here my class, and then you end this, you delimit this by indentation, and I give pass because I don't want to give any object or any function or attributes in this class. Now understand one thing, I just hit shift enter, I run this, and this class is being created. Now I cannot call this class until I have an object. So for this I have to create an object, that is A, and in this I will call my class, and now we will just print this A, and you see that this object is being created and the class is my class and this memory location. These are the two things that it shows. So this is an object creation, so we just initiated an object in this class. A common convention to create a class is that whatever name you are giving, suppose my class, the first letter should begin with the capital, I will say caps lock, because this is the naming convention. You can name it in any way, but this is like a standard way of using the nomenclature as said by the Python community. Alright, now I will come to an example of it. Let's see how you use it in real life, or you can create classes. We'll take a simple example and I will create another class. Let's create a class called fruits. Okay, and I don't have to, I'm not actually, for simplicity, I'm not giving any object or not defining any parameters or functions or methods of fruits in class. Okay, and that is a different concept. We can cover it in later videos, but for now let's just stick to creating an object and a class. So now what I do is I create an object, and in that I will have my class. That means the object will use the properties and everything of the class, right? So class is what? It is just a collection of many objects and methods and functions of that object. So this object 1, if you can just see, it has been created and the class is fruits, and the memory location is also being allotted to it. Okay, so you can now define what fruit type, what is the color of the fruit. So when I just give the type, or when I want to see the color, or when I want to see the shape of the fruit, what are these? These are the attributes, okay, or I would say the properties of the fruit, and which are being assigned in methods. Okay, these methods assign, with methods you can access these properties, which are the properties of the object. Now what I do is, now understand this thing again, it is being created. We can now go on assigning attributes to it. Now the fruits is having the attribute like type, color, shape, these are the different properties that any fruit can have, like an apple or an orange. So now what I want is, now I will assign methods, because these methods would actually give me access to these, I would say, to these functions or the parameters. Okay, so methods would give me access to these attributes. So let us see how do we actually assign methods to our class and to the objects, actually to the objects to be precise. So what I do, first of all, let us understand init constructor. What is a constructor, method constructor, and then I'll explain you what happens. Now this init is a constructor, class constructor, or you can say that this is a method, and the method always has an argument, and that argument could be of any name, but by convention it is self, mostly used in Python community. Then you can pass the name of the attributes or properties you want to retrieve. That means when you pass any argument, you want the name or color or shape or size, anything of that fruit. For the convenience, I'm just taking 2 arguments, and then follow what I would like to retrieve the name, and I would also like to retrieve the color. Now, understand one thing, that the self give me access to the further properties. Okay, through this self, this would be identified that this what I am retrieving. I want to ask. I'm asking for name and color. So with the help of this self, I'm invoking this method, and so I would get a result. That means action has been now initiated. Now what I will do, I would create another function. Okay, and for that I would use the same indentation because it will be in the same class. So make sure that this is here. Okay, and I will write the description, description. Okay, and then I will write here self, because see, every method has to followed by one argument, and for convenience sake I'm not giving it any other parameters, because you can pass a number of parameters, but it just requires by default simplest one argument, that could be any. So I write here self, and then I just want it to return something from me. So I tell it to return what? A string, which I tell that and now I'm invoking the function. So I write here self.name, that means the fruit name, right? The fruit is of, okay, is of, and then I'm again invoking a function that is this method, and that is the color, this, and then it is color. Okay, just see, and have patience, it would be good. It's good to go. Okay, yeah, it's run. Now what I do, how do I use it? So I pass an out. So I give it an input so that I get the return of it. I use the class called fruits, and what are the things I have passed? I have passed name and color, right? So I will give name. Suppose I give apple, and I give here, like, suppose red. Okay, so just call this object. So I can just write here print object 2. Alright, this is I have to print the description, not the object. This is giving me the object class. So I would call this method description. So I will write here print description, and I would write here, I will invoke this method first, object to dot description. This makes sense, and it will give me the description. That means I'm invoking this function, this method here, and you can see the result is that the self.name, that is apple, fruit is of red color. The parameters have been concatenated. Similarly, you can change the inputs and see the result for yourself, but remember that what you have to print is this object, and then you have to invoke the function with a dot, and then call the method, and then you will get the resultant output. The return function returns your result. This is a basic example of using class objects and defining the method and assigning parameters to it. The simplest as I could find it out. So this is it for this video, and thanks for watching.